ones yet.
That's true. I do have a few of those.
Yeah, I remembered.
Yeah, they're great. That's a great guy. Guy's a great guy, just so you know.
Jury's still out.
Jury's still out. Well, I'm going live. So we were getting ready to pick back up on, we were talking about souls and how some people take souls of maybe being an energy. So, I mean, naturally, we're made of molecules and that gives off energy. So I don't see it being too far-fetched.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make one separate entity within your body just because you have energy in it that it's going to be your soul.
The problem is it's really easy to, what do you say, not believe that there's a soul. It's really easy to not believe there is a soul because of logic. For us,
because there's no evidence.
Yeah, for us here, there's no evidence and it's hard to prove. But at the same time, it's really hard to prove that there is a soul because you can't find it in the body, like we were just talking about. But we do have some things that we've caught that lead you to believe what is it that we're catching? We label them as ghosts, but does that mean is that person?
Whatever it is it a dead person?
Yeah, that has a soul.
What is it? So, James, just a comment on your idea here. If it is a soul, the energy of a person.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Right. So let me ask you this. So, energy. We know energy has forms. Like for example, a loaf of bread. Is full of carbohydrates, which is in fact energy.
Yeah.
Does this loaf of bread have a soul?
That's a good way to look at it because
because it's just energy, right? That's all your body really is.
In turn,
I would say it's energy tied with consciousness. Would be a way to go more on a more logical thought process if you're trying to be logical about having a soul.
So the soul, the soul idea is that somehow, really, what a soul is, then, and the idea is that it's your consciousness, a dead person's consciousness, lives on post-death of body.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, well, obviously we can't prove that, but what evidence that you have captured makes you think that...
there's nobody's captured evidence like that.
Well, for example, the EVP you guys caught, you hear a person speaking.
Oh, yes.
The question is, or like with your Ouija board situation.
Grandmother and the cat.
You thought maybe it was your grandmother,
yeah.
Right? What evidence makes you think, or what have you experienced that makes you think maybe in fact dead people are, or the ghosts or spirits or whatever are in fact dead people?
Well,
people that have died.
With what happened to me, I look at it logically, like how many coincidences have to happen with my internal thinking of a question that no one can hear to make this cat do exactly what I wanted, and at what point it becomes not logical for me to think that that's coincidental. You know what I mean?
And that makes sense, right? So now that goes to the first question we posed here, which was, what did you need to switch over from being a total skeptic to someone who might have a belief?
Yeah.
The next question we're trying to figure out is there anything that you think makes it possible that a ghost is in fact a dead person?
In theory, and with the evidence, the lack of evidence, you really can't prove that it is a dead person. So you can't. But even though we've caught evidence, could that just? Yeah.
You think it's a person?
Yeah.
But that's just our mindset of what we're doing. Would make us think we're going to think it being the paranormal because we don't have anything else to believe that it could be.
Yeah, definitely like the EVP you call, for example. It's clearly a person speaking.
Yes.
It's English,
Yeah.
right? So, but the question is that a person who has died?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
One way
you
could try to make it a viable theory, in which we haven't been able to do, is match that tone of voice to, because when we have you can hear that it's a female or male, it sounds, probably if you knew the person, it would probably sound like them, because it's not like there's a standard voice we hear every time.
No, every ghost has a robot voice.
So there is,
which is weird because if you're a dead spirit, you don't have a voice box,
right?
you don't have the
you can't.
physical.
But also, the same thing goes. We don't always hear it.
Right. Well, right, like the evidence you captured, that EVP you captured of the woman speaking, you didn't hear it in the room.
No.
Is that
Yeah, it's going on right now.
Is it?
It's on Justin.
Oh my
So you don't hear
want
it?
Yeah, we just saw you.
Oh, it's okay.
Was that really?
No, not at all.
Anyway.
You have to watch to find out.
No.
Oh. You don't want to watch us? Oh, that hurt my feelings.
But yes, there's no way to prove that, you know, the person you're talking to is said dead, you know, the dead person, because you don't. I mean, in all reality, you would have to have sound bites from when they were alive,
Or
even
a
to compare.
a person that knew them.
That
I
could
would
like say that's their voice. I
very
mean, even
verified.
that, even you can't even take that as complete 100%, because that person's going to be subjective that they want to hear that person's voice.
No, I totally know what you're saying.
So-
but at the same time, you know, they would also know.
Oh, that's true. They would know better than we would going into it. Like, oh yeah, that's Earl. Earl's talking right now.
That's why I'd like to go into the basement of the haunt and catch an EVP of possible Charlie there.
You just ruined Jason's whole day. Charles is who
Charles.
Yeah.
You guys suck.
No.
He's just wanting to hang out with you, bud.
I would probably be up for that. Just to see.
We wouldn't throw you to the wolves. And
but
that would answer questions.
That would
You guys
that
are-
would
probably
be-
actually set me more at ease, because I would actually have
A sense of who's there.
a sense of who's there
that-
and if it's actually him.
Yeah, but you
that
guys are
we know him.
do this
Yeah.
for a living and understand the repercussions of saying, "Yep, that was him," and not really meaning it. And
Well, yeah.
you guys would. We trust you. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like
and that's the
a
only
family
way I
member
can
that
see us
really longs to
legitimizing.
hear them again, kind of thing.
Right, because I mean, we spent time with him, but it was only
Yeah,
during the month of
7
October. So I mean, we didn't, know his total personal life.
Talking about
Well, that's
rotate it
true.
over to Jason. Jason is beyond.
She doesn't want to be on camera. It's okay. But no, that's
One
true.
way.
Let me ask this: does anyone think that ghosts are people who have died is the most probable theory of their existence?
I would say yes.
Yes.
I would say yes. That, I mean, at least that's my theory. Because it's to me what my brain would make the most sense of, for just me personally. Because I guess somebody coming from another dimension is just completely mind blowing, and I don't want to believe it. So I try to.
But also, let me ask you this: so if ghosts are in fact dead people, there's a lot of dead folks out there.
There's a lot of dead folks out there.
But it would indicate to me that there are way more dead people walking around than
Alive people, yeah, that could be true.
There should be.
Which means also, secondly, you would think we would have way more experiences of
Paranormal experience.
encounters, yeah.
But if people aren't necessarily going to look for that, are they just? Is it happening and they're just not noticing it?
That's why I have to disagree with you on what you think, because it would be you should be picking it up everywhere you go.
If you can feel it.
Under that logic, you know what I mean?
I would think, yeah.
You would have EVPs at every house you went into.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it was brand new house.
Every building or
Yeah,
every street
exactly.
corner.
Like,
I mean,
Dang near, yeah.
but
whenever there's been a tragic accident or incident,
but that's why I believe
But-
more in the.
But also, let me. Sorry. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to lead us into our next topic.
Well, I was just want to say something. He said so. Like the other thing is too. A lot of people follow a haunting with some kind of tragic event.
Yes.
Why does that have to be the case? Why, like, is there really a haunting because of a tragedy?
No, it'd be
Does
a
that
haunting
cause
because
a
of a
haunting?
death. But it doesn't matter how you died, and you're
does
still
it
going
matter
to be.
if you died peacefully, or are you going to be are you going to be a ghost?
It could be.
Well, I mean,
you
there's
died-
no book on it.
Well, how do you have to die to become a ghost? What's the qualifications?
What's the
Give-
page one, subsection.
Hold on, let me go to the handbook. Oh, there isn't one.
It's like what's the movie with Beetlejuice? You know, where they die and they've got the after death handbook. You know.
Yeah, they have that
I
happen.
love it. I
That's-
just watched that movie last week.
You finally watched Beetlejuice. I'm proud of you.
I've seen it before.
Oh, well, still proud of you.
But that's what I'm saying is like I think maybe I don't know whether that theory is right or wrong, but there are definitely questions to be posed, right? Like, if someone becomes a ghost, did they die tragically? Maybe, maybe not. Like, can someone? Does that
But
matter?
in turn, if somebody say the circumstances of somebody's death, you go peacefully, but then you're just around your family, you're moving stuff, you know, you're shutting a door, you're having a cat manipulated, doing everything peacefully. But I'm just saying. But what if
Things in a home, right?
But what
What
if
if it's like a Casper thing and it's like
yeah,
unfinished
but
business?
exactly. But what if it's somebody who died tragically? Is, you know, interpreted if it was a violent death? Are they more violent? Is there, you know, mannerism
only
as a
here-
ghost? Are they? Yeah,
Are they only here to
To
try to
cause-
solve their murder if that is what happened?
yeah. Like but we don't know because that's not. We don't have. You know, we can't say like.
We haven't
Then
caught
again,
evidence to prove that that's
we can't
the
pull
case.
out the handbook to say, "Hey, well, you got shot in the head." Well, you're doomed to kill people for the rest of your life.
Yeah, or
you don't
be
know.
a malevolent evil spirit because
Yeah.
you died tragically. You don't know.
But do I believe that circumstances of people's death might make their, if you know, said soul or said spirit stick around? If there even is one, stick around because of like unfinished business, like Amanda said, because they feel like they have to accomplish something or soothe their loved ones before they can move on to another plane.
Kind of like what happened with me.
You went to another plane?
No, my grandma.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
switched from United.
I switched from United.
The whole situation.
By the way, United Airlines is just off topic thing. Just to stop it for a second. United Airlines is naming the LA Coliseum. They bought the naming rights, and the memes out there are amazing. If you haven't looked them up, I suggest doing it. It's hilarious. But oh well, sorry. You said, yeah, we were talking about something.
Well,
but
I mean, what I was gonna say is I'd have to disagree with the way James views it. Not to say that it's wrong or anything. It's just I think more plausible would be a multi-dimensional theory.
well, yeah.
Just because it doesn't happen near, like, what we catch doesn't happen everywhere. It doesn't happen
No,
every
it does
time. And it's one of those things like, I think we've talked about it before amongst each other, that it could be just like, it seeps through, you know, just a little in certain areas. Kind of like if you ever watched Fringe.
Yes, he used the show reference. I gave you that. You're welcome.
I watched it. It was a
Bullshit.
great show. But
That's true.
Yeah. I
Now,
mean,
well then, let's spin it to
but
the.
there's no science to show that.
Or is there?
Not yet.
I mean, as far as I know, no one's accepted.
That's why it's still a
Interdimensional
theory.
travel.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess string theory's been around for a while,
Yeah.
proposing 11 dimensions or so. But I don't think that's been accepted yet. I guess there's been some pretty interesting stuff mathematically that's been developed in the field of physics from string theory. But as far as I know, that hasn't been accepted as a
What?
field
As an actual field of study?
as a theory of reality.
Yeah, no, true.
One of the reasons why that brought me to this conclusion, or to this what I thought.
Yeah.
You were there. We were on an investigation in Post Town.
Ah, yes.
You know exactly the one.
I did it.
So you remember it.
Yes, because they were supposed. Okay, yes, I
We
can.
we caught an EVP basically.
Yes, we caught an EVP.
And it basically said, who were they over there? Like, talking to us.
Yeah.
In seeing us going, who's that? What do they do?
So that spun my brain around a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they always said there was an interdimensional vortex there.
Mm-hmm.
They said there was a vortex there, but if you took said object through the vortex, which my dumbass self did.
You did, not that night, but like, I think it was another time that you were there.
So I potentially broke the vortex, or
Yeah.
or opened up said dimensions that were supposed to be there. But yeah, but that does pose a question because it does seem like, what if somebody else was ghost hunting, but we were the ghost?
Right.
You know what I mean?
To
Like,
So hang on. So you caught an EVP saying that?
Yes. Like, it said that to us. Like, who are you?
Okay.
You know, like, and we were sitting there like, who were they? Like, what the hell?
Like you were both aware of each other in the
yeah,
room.
like we. So it seemed like somebody was there, but we could not see them on the same plane we were.
But okay, but you couldn't hear them in the room, right? You didn't catch it until after, right?
We got it on the EVP.
Yeah.
So this is another interesting thing too. So if they were aware of you, but you weren't aware of them, what can that tell you about whatever it is they're on the other side?
Their technology's more advanced.
Yeah.
Well, something. I mean, so
Hey, it's a theory.
It is a theory, yeah.
yeah.
But do I think it's a theory that could be possible? Absolutely. I mean, we
Well, there
can't
could
be
be
the only
another-
one that exists.
There could be another realm that we just can't see, kind of thing.
Like Sixth Sense?
What? Not.
What?
I don't know.
Using it to relate to the listeners.
Psychics could have tapped into that.
That's true.
Legit psychics see these things, and they could be seeing dead people. They could be seeing into another
Dimension?
They, there's no book on that really. I mean, there are people have wrote books on it, but there's no science behind it.
Well, there's nothing to prove it, but there's also nothing to disprove it either.
Exactly.
In that sense, would you say?
Yeah, I don't think we can. At least for me, I can't get on with the
Oh, no.
dimensional theory of paranormal activity just simply because there's not enough to base.
There's
not
no
that it's
evidence.
Not true, but there's no evidence right now of that.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, I mean, we just had some interesting things, happen. That was one EVP that was like, why would they ever question us? Like,
That
we
is-
are clearly trying to find you.
Yeah.
Because we've been asking questions all night.
Right.
You get who are they?
Yeah.
But that's true. That would be something. I mean, that does kind of point to like interdimensional kind of things.
It could point to there. That's what opened my mind.
I would say that's a pretty interesting piece of evidence that you captured that might
Yeah.
swing them that way. The question is, if there is in fact, let's just pretend this is the truth. Okay.
Okay.
What does that say for our first theory that they are dead people?
Now, that I think it would spin it because what if when you die, you don't die, you just move to another dimension?
Right.
So what if your life just restarts over in a different dimension, but you're just still getting, since you're tied down here because your physical body's here, are you just getting, fragments of your new life or the new dimension coming back over?
Right, in 2012, so I told you guys like I'm a musician and stuff. I wrote an album. It was actually the first one we got signed for, and it was called Between Mirrors, the Quantum Immortality. So there's this concept of quantum immortality, that when you die, whatever it is that you are shifts into another dimension, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote an album based around
some deep stuff.
a story about this being possible, but it was just a story. I don't know that there's really any evidence for that being the case, but it's an interesting concept that after you die, that you could be part. But my problem I was telling you the other day, Kevin, is like whatever reality is what it is.
Yeah.
But let's say there's multiple we call dimensions. That's not some kind of spooky thing.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, we actually have 4 dimensions right now that we know of, right? Including time, the fourth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay? So, which we'll get to in our next series.
Well, we're in it. Go ahead and just, what are the 4s? Time.
Right, and then you have your link depth with, you have these dimensions of space plus time. So, my thing is, I was going something else now. Sorry. But whatever there is, if there is like a string theory proposes like 11 different dimensions, then that's all part of reality, and somehow we're just not experiencing it, right? Like,
Yeah, we just can't see it.
we're just not experiencing it, and the question is, one, where is it? Where is that facet of reality, and why are we missing it?
And how
which
do we
also-
access it?
Which also indicates to me that whatever is happening, like we talk about today, is not actually paranormal.
Yeah.
It's actually normal.
Mhm.
It is reality itself. We're just not used to experiencing reality that
Exactly.
way.
And it would
So we
change.
manipulate it to the way that we would be able to process it, you think?
I don't know if we can.
Well, I mean, we would just change. I mean, if we ever found out what it was, and it was another dimension that we were seeing of sorts, I mean, we would just have to just. It would be normal, and we would just come up with a new name. Just like if you found out UFOs existed and then learned what they were to them,
They weren't
They would
unidentified.
not be unidentified.
That's
anymore.
right.
They wouldn't be UFOs.
They'd
They
just
would
be
be
foes.
whatever they were.
They would just be foes, flying objects. That's true, but when you look at it that way, so once we do prove,
That's
or
my
if somebody,
whole, like,
if somebody does prove the paranormal exists, it wouldn't be paranormal anymore.
no.
It would just be normal.
And what I'm saying is that, like, with the evidence you've captured, it indicates that there is something which is really just normal. So whatever there is out there is actually just normal, right?
Mhm.
That's what reality is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It just seems
We haven't
supernatural to us because
we haven't been able to explain it.
We're
Just
not-
like there was magic and people thought
Correct.
alchemy existed. You know,
Yeah.
like that they don't, and you found out they didn't. So, you know, it's
right. Once you can explain something, it's,
you use the actual technical term.
yeah. I mean, go back. I always tell my students in history class, like, if I could go back in time 150 years, I ask my students this question. I say, if I could go back 150 years, and I could give, and you could tell people in the past one thing about the future, what would you tell them?
What would it be?
What would you tell them? And so I always say, I would tell them about cell phones, right?
They would think, what is this?
Right, like, think if you could go back 150 years and say, okay, just for a second, in the future, I'm not going to tell you everything about the future, I'm just going to tell you about one thing. Okay, this is one thing I'm going to tell you about. Everyone is going to have this little box in their pocket. It's not very big.
It used to be real
It
big.
used to be real big, but
It got small.
Then it got bigger.
Yeah.
But it's not very big. It weighs 2 pounds maybe,
Yeah.
right, max.
Mm-hmm.
And with that box,
You can ask.
you're going to be able to talk to anybody.
You can get any knowledge like that.
Yeah, well, you go into that later, but the first part is magic. You can say you're going to be able to talk to anybody on Earth like they're standing next to you.
They're like, what?
And they would say, first of all, no, that's magic.
Yeah,
That-
sorcery.
You're going to be able to hear them, not only hear them, but actually see them. With something like FaceTime, for example, or
Yeah.
Skype. You're going to be able to see them. They could be literally across the planet, and you will be able to communicate.
You could look at your cell phone
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?"
Exactly.
Kind of like what we're doing now
Kinda
with
like
Facebook
what we're
Live.
doing right now.
And they would say that alone would be just impossible magic. But you say, oh, but it doesn't stop there. That's the part that everybody takes for granted and nobody even cares about because it's not
Yeah.
interesting. You'll also be able to capture the past at any moment. At any moment, you can actually take a moment right now and you can hold on to it forever with a picture or a thing called a video. You don't know what those are yet because it's 150 years ago. You will actually be able to look at the past, hold on to it, and look at it anytime you want.
That's, yeah.
And that's magic. No one would have ever been able to do that before, or even conceived of that as a possibility.
Or even understand what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And then last, again, and that's also taken for granted because that's just so normal to us in our
Yeah.
world. So the other thing you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to access anything anyone's ever come up with, thought of, written, or developed. Any piece of information you could ever want to know, any question you ever have, you could instantly answer.
Yeah.
And if you told people everyone's going to be walking around with a box in their pocket like that, that would be magic. It would not be normal. And that's what I'm saying is whatever's out there is actually normal. It's just we don't understand how to explain it.
We actually have a question on Facebook Live. Do you agree with the idea that ancient cultures such as Native Americans were more comfortable with supernatural stuff than the modern society? If so, why would that be?
Great question.
That is a great
What do
question.
you think? So the question is, what the ancient cultures were they more comfortable with supernatural?
Yes. Were they more spiritually open? That's how I would interpret that question. But I think we might have to wait until after the next break to answer that question. So you guys are gonna have to stick around. But I don't know what button we have to hit on that thing to make it play music.
I got 40 seconds.
I don't know. We got 40 seconds to figure it out. Oh, there's Kofi. Does it just go to break? That's pretty cool. It's like it's counting down. So if you stay with us, we will answer that question. Coming up, we'll go back Facebook Live.
We'll go back Facebook Live.
And here, we'll go back Facebook Live. So make sure you're staying tuned to our page, and we'll dive into that question next. See you soon. So we'll make sure you stay tuned. We'll be right back in.